back to PDS, Personal Development Strategies. You know, in order for us to begin this journey together, we've got to start with first things first. And as I talk to a lot of people, I think what I realize in people's lives is that they really don't know exactly what they're looking for at first. They know that something's not right and they want to improve. And so we've got to kind of get to the heart of the matter, and you've got to ask yourself, like personally, what is it that I want to get out of this? How do I want to personally develop in my own life? And so those are the questions we have to wrestle with, because many people, maybe it's time management, maybe it's personal development in a specific area, maybe it's personal development in the relationships. And so really, we've got to kind of figure that out. But I can't figure that out for you. If we had a conversation across the table, I'd ask you a lot of questions like, so what is the most important thing that you feel like you need to accomplish over the next 6 months? That would tell me a lot about kind of who you are and what is important to you. And it's not a right or wrong question, but what is the most important thing that you want to see accomplished in the next 6 months? But I thought we'd start at the very, very beginning and do inventory. Most of us, maybe we don't like to do that, but I think it's very important to kind of assess how you're doing, right? Take your car in, you get it like, I want a tune-up, tell me what's wrong. Maybe there's nothing wrong, maybe there's a lot of things wrong, but it's like, I want to figure out what's wrong so it can improve and my car can run more efficient. And isn't it true? We want to be more efficient as individuals, no matter how old or young you are, no matter what season of life you're in, that we want to be more efficient. And so we have to take some sort of inventory to help us understand where we are personally if we're going to develop in these areas to maximize our time here on this planet, right? So one of the things that we have to look at that I like to call is sharpen the saw. Now, Sharpen the Saw is used with a book developed by Stephen Covey called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. One of the most influential books besides the Bible in my life. One of the most influential books, because these are habits, and we're going to talk about that in a later lesson. A later talk is about habits, but it's 7 habits of highly effective people. And some of these things that I've grown to learn and to love. And one of them is called Sharpening Your Saw. And that's all about personal development. In other words, you have to look at you. If you want to be the best mom, the best businessman, the best athlete, the best entrepreneur, whatever that looks like, you have to make sure that you are sharp, right? You want to make sure that you are sharp and ready for whatever comes your way. And so if you're not leading yourself properly, how can you lead your home? How can you lead others? And so there's 4 areas of your life that I want us to focus in on today, okay? This is like inventory. This is where you got to be really real with yourself, okay? Nobody's looking at this. We can talk about this later, but you have to be really real with what's going on inside of you. So if we were to look at Sharpen Your Saw, there's 4 things. There's the physical side of it. There's the emotional, there's the mental, and then there's the spiritual side of this. This makes up us as a whole, okay? So you can look at your life holistically from this approach. And so when I refer to the physical side of it, what I'm asking is your health, your physical health. So I want you to look at these areas of your life. You've got the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual aspect of your life. This is sharpening your saw. This is you as a person. So I wanted you to think about this. Remember, this is inventory. This is just being real. You in front of the mirror, looking at yourself, saying, how am I doing? So physically, how are you doing with your physical health? That would include probably exercise, sleep, and nutrition. And you know how you're doing in that area of life, okay? I want you to think through that. How's it going in your life? Your emotional state. That's pretty obvious. How are you doing emotionally? Are you always on edge? Are you anxious? Are you worried? Are you stressed out all the time? Or are you walking kind of in peace and you're calm and you're driven and you're focused? You know, how is that emotionally going for you? And I know emotions ebb and flow, but overall, how do you feel like your emotional well-being is doing since the last 6 weeks of your life? Last 6 weeks, physical, emotional, mental. Mental is our capacity to learn. How are you growing? What are you learning? How are you sharpening your skills and what you know to help you become better at what you do, right? Maybe it's like as a mom or as an athlete, you're studying, you're learning the better tactics, the plays, the different things that'll help you become better at what you do. And how are you learning? How's that growth going for you? Maybe for you, you're just crushing it. You're like, yes, I'm winning. Maybe for you, it's like, I haven't picked up a book since I was in high school. All right, and it's not just about books, it's about learning. And the last one is spiritual. I'm a man of faith, and so this is extremely important to me. It's important to everyone. How are you doing on the spiritual aspect of it? How is your faith? How are you pouring into this realm of your life? For me, my relationship with God, I'm concerned that is my gauge. How is that going in my spiritual life and the things that will help grow that in your life? Okay? So think about that. Now let me give you a little bit more, let's peel back a layer to get to more depth that you can actually go ahead and classify this, write this down somewhere, okay? I will have a sheet that you can use. If you've been with me before, you know kind of where this is going. But I want you to look at the 3 areas that I believe they're very broad and yet very focused that will describe each of these areas. You're either in these areas you are dying. This is not a good place to be. You are surviving, or you are thriving in life, okay? And this thriving is not like, wow, where you're trying to act like you have it all together. Thriving simply means you're doing well, you're excelling at what you do. And so when you look at these areas of your life, when you look at the physical side, the emotional side, the mental side, and the spiritual side, how is it going for you right now? In other words, do you feel like if you were to scale yourself, man, my physical life, I am thriving, I'm eating well, I'm getting proper rest, and I'm exercising. I'm doing some sort of physical exercise 3 to 5 times, whatever that looks like for you. You've got to classify it for you, not for me. Do not gauge yourself on anybody else, but what you feel is important to you to be physical. So do you feel like you're dying, you're surviving, or you're thriving? Now, when you make your marks on that sheet, you can make it like, maybe you're like here, you're like, man, I feel like I'm in between dying and surviving. How are you doing in an emotional state? Do you feel like you're thriving emotionally? And you wake up in the morning, you start your day off, you've got your wake-up routine, and you've got this going on, and you feel good, and you're doing well. Maybe you're more over here, I don't know. But each area, go ahead and mark that, what you're feeling right now. What do you believe in right now about yourself? Now, let me tell you why this is important. This is important because it's going to be a gut check for each one of us, and where we want to spend probably our time to help develop us in some area. Okay? So the most important thing is to take a look at this, to be real with yourself, and to say, okay, out of all these areas, physically, I'm doing the worst, I feel. Or maybe it's emotionally or spiritually. Or maybe they're all right down the line. I don't know, but you need to take a moment to do this. This is kind of our first exercise together that I really need you to do. Okay? Is to go ahead and do that. And then what I need you to do is I need you to go ahead and in the comment box below, let's start having a dialogue thread. What stood out to you the most when we're talking about this idea, this thought of sharpening your saw? What is it that really stood out to you the most? And what area do you feel like is the most important thing that you need to start working on right now? So the goal of today is simply this, is for you to have an exercise by yourself with nobody around to start thinking about your life, okay? This could take 10, 15 minutes, but really begin to think about where you are. Now, let me just tell you this. This is not to make you feel guilty. This is not to make you feel bad. This is just to take inventory. You can only get better from here, right? This is what I have to do with my life. I get into a habit, we're going to talk about that later, into a habit of looking at these often. I don't know how many times you look at these things in your life, but I think it's important to look at it on a consistent basis. So once again, I want you to look at this. How are you doing physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually? And in the course of this time that we're going to have together, this is a process. This is one of the strategies that I use to help me to kind of jolt me back into reality of this is how I am doing. This is how I feel I'm doing in these areas. Now, once again, this is strictly about you. We'll get into the other areas of your life, but we need to start, if you're going to be develop as a person in the personal development strategies of your own life and help you get to where you believe that God is taking you to, then you have to look at you. And so let's take a look at you for just a moment. How are you doing in these areas? And let's end it on this. And then what is the one area that you say right now, this is the most important thing to me that I need to work on developing in me? Okay? Just one area. I don't want you to pick up. You say, I need to develop them all. I'm dying in all of them. Well, hopefully you're not dying in all of them. That would be very scary. You're doing well in some of them, okay? You got to give yourself some credit here. But what is one area that you said in the next month that's coming up, the month of May for us, right? This is what I really want to develop. I really want to develop and do something with this side of my life, with my emotional state. I'm always on edge. I feel like I'm learning. I'm doing nothing. I'm binge watching Netflix all the time. I'm not growing. Or spiritually, maybe that, whatever. I need to work on this area. What is that area? And we're going to talk about that. So this is session 1. Thank you so much for being a part of PDS, Personal Development Strategies. Again, this is one strategy that we're going to look at. I think if you can grab a hold of this and understand where you are, take inventory of your life. That's important. It's a strategy that I use all the time. So take inventory. Let's talk through this together. Let's grow through this together. It's going to be a fantastic day. It's going to be a great journey, but you have to believe in yourself and believe that you're going to take steps in this process to become all that you were created to be. So let's do this together.